Okay, here is a question. Let's turn to 1 Samuel chapter 28. 1 Samuel chapter 28. Okay, so you all know, huh? Good. Okay, now we shall read 1 Samuel chapter 28 verses 14 to 16. 14 to 16. Now, this is the scene where King Saul goes to a witch and asks the witch to bring who back? Bring Samuel back. Okay, so let's read together. 1 Samuel chapter 28 verses 14 to 16. Let's read together. And he said unto her, What form is he of? And she said, An old man cometh up, and he is covered with a mantle. And Saul perceived that it was Samuel, and he stooped with his face to the ground and bowed himself. And Samuel said to Saul, Why hast thou disquieted me to bring me up? And Saul answered, I am sore distressed, for the Philistines make war against me, and God is departed from me, and answered me no more, neither by prophets nor by dreams. Therefore I have called thee, that thou mayest make known unto me what I shall do. And then said Samuel, Wherefore then dost thou ask of me, seeing the Lord is departed from thee? And that, okay, all right, so this is a passage, like I said. King Saul went to look for a witch and asked the witch to bring Samuel back. Noah, why did King Saul ask the witch to bring Samuel back?
He was worried that the enemies were going to attack him.
Okay, the enemies were going to attack him, and he said he do have no answer from anywhere. So he asked the witch to bring Samuel back so that Samuel can tell him what to do. Okay? Now, in the first place, the kings were told not to go and use witches. Understand? They're not allowed to do that. So King Saul disobeyed God. King Saul put on a disguise and he went to look for this witch. Okay? That is the situation. So the person asked this question. Those of you who have done the book of Judges, you would already know the answer. King, sorry. Now, so the question is, when Elijah went up to heaven, wrong question. Where is it now? King Saul asked the woman to bring up the spirit of Samuel to him. And that happened. Isn't this a witchery act? How could this happen to Samuel, God's prophet? Okay, how could this happen to Samuel, God's prophet? Now, in the first place, there are questions. What is this situation? Is it really Samuel that came back, or is it not? Whether Samuel really came back. Now, what do you think, Shama? Think Samuel came back or not? It might be real. Okay, so yes, Shama is right. There are a few views. Okay, there are a few views to this. Now, one is, otherwise Shama can't see. Wow, so neat. Okay, there are a few opinions about this passage. This is the witch. How you draw witch? I don't know how you draw witch. Okay, the witch. This is one of the character, right? Then there is there is actually Samuel. Alright, Samuel. Alright, Samuel in the mantle. Okay, there's Samuel. Samuel, the good prophet. Okay, now one view is the witch pretended. Okay, the witch pretended. So one view is the witch tricked King Saul. Alright, so when King Saul came, okay, King Saul wearing a crown. When King Saul came, King Saul is frightened, right? King Saul didn't know what to do. So one view is the witch tricked King Saul. The witch say, Samuel is back. And she even pretended, Samuel is back. Now, that's one view. The other view is the witch herself was, she actually, when she imagined, right? She was so frightened, she herself imagined things. You know what is hallucinate? Hallucinate, she saw things that are actually not there. Okay? That is another view. The witch tricked Saul, and the other view, the witch hallucinated. Okay? Then there is another view that, who is this? Oh no, it's not good. This is not good. Who is this? Satan, huh? Pretend it's Satan. Another view is Satan actually tricked everyone. Satan was the one, means Samuel didn't come back. Satan actually came and disguised and tricked everybody. Okay, so there is another view, the third view. And then there is the fourth view. The fourth view is Samuel actually came back. The view that Shama thinks likely. Samuel actually came back. Okay, so there are four views. Now, maybe we go through scriptures first. Now look at scriptures. Look at 1 Samuel chapter 28. 1 Samuel chapter 28. Okay. 1 Samuel 28. Now, do you think it is a case where the witch, the sorcerer, by the way, don't read books on witches and all that. The Bible is against witchcraft, correct? We studied that before. Do you think it was the witch tricking Samuel? Do you think this view is possible? What do you think, Joash? Mr. Army Man. Hey, no, Shane. You see ghosts in the army? Is it possible? Look at the Bible. Not sure. Can it be trickery? Caleb, what do you think? You think she tricked her based on the Bible? Jennifer, is it possible that he tricked her? Okay, ask adults. Which adult want to try? Moray. Moray in deep thoughts.
Definitely no.
Not possible that this first view, she tricked him, is not possible. Why?
Because one of the witch, she realized it's a Saul. She was frightened.
When she realized it was Samuel. Samuel, he was frightened.
Yeah.
Okay? But she can pretend.
No, but
I see a ghost. Huh? She can pretend.
I think.
Now, most people think it is not likely. Howard, why? Why do you think?
I think verse 17, she might not know that the kingdom is between Saul and he will be dead.
Okay, so one of the things is the Lord hath done to him as he spake by me, for the Lord hath rent the kingdom out of thine hand, given it to David. Yes, that is one thing possible. But she can guess. She can guess. From all the political events, she can pretend to say something like that. Now, one of the reasons why people who are against this view would typically cite verse 15. You look at verse 15. Verse 15. Now, he says, and Samuel said to Saul, why hast thou disquieted me to bring me up? And Saul answered, I am sore distressed. And so on and so on. So, then verse 16, then said Samuel, right? So it looks like there was an actual conversation between Saul and Samuel. Yeah, between Saul and Samuel. At least a plain reading of it. Okay, it looks like there was I talk to you, you talk to me, I talk to you, you talk to me. So most of the people who don't agree to this view would cite verse 15. I tend to agree. Okay, I tend to agree. She pretended at first, she was shocked at first, you're right, she was frightened. But after that, there seemed to be a conversation between these two. That's how the Bible recorded it. So unlikely. And then what about the second one? She hallucinated. Also unlikely because, again, the same reasoning. There seemed to be a recorded conversation between the two. There's a recorded conversation between the two. So people who read it as there was a genuine conversation, then therefore not hallucination, not trickery, but actual conversation that went on. Now, could it be Satan that turned up? Can Satan turn up as an angel of light? The Bible says so, right? Satan can appear as an angel of light and trick people. So is this view, in your opinion, something that makes sense? Shama, what do you think? It was Satan that disguised and pretended. So from what you read, what do you think? Possible? Samuel, you want to help your sister? You're not sure? Not sure also. Now, this is a difficult one, right? This is a difficult one. What about adults? Ben, what do you think? Is it possible that Satan came as a disguise?
I think Satan came as a disguise.
He will be what, sorry? So likely he would... Okay, your argument is then God would not just say there's a conversation that went on, he will say Satan came in disguise. Okay, but sometimes the scene is just recorded like that. God does not say too much. So can we assume that it is so? Can we assume that it is so? Say again? You think it's number 4? But you don't have a reason, so you just like Samuel to come back. Okay. Anyone? Shenrui, what do you think? You also think it's number 4, but not sure why. You all like Samuel to come back. Now, if you read, look at your Bibles. Now, if you read, now one of the things is his prediction. Look at verse 19. Can we read verse 19 together? 18 and 19. Shall we read together? Because thou obeyest not the voice of the Lord, now executest his fierce wrath upon the Amalek. Therefore hath the Lord done this thing unto thee this day. Moreover, the Lord will deliver Israel with thee unto the hand of the Philistines. And tomorrow shalt thou and thy sons be with me, The Lord also shall deliver the host of Israel into the hand of the Philistines. Now, this one is talking about tomorrow. This is a prophecy, correct? This is a prophecy. Yes, Samuel. You think it's number 3, Satan disguising. Why do you say so? Because he can disguise. Yes, it's true. What else? You forgot. All right, Noah, you want to say something?
I think it's 4.
You think it's 4. Why? Oh, you think it's 4. Then I ask you, why not 3? Why not 3? Satan say,
Verse 16 is just like then Samuel. I think like it's just actually says Samuel.
okay, so Noah say, the verses keep saying Samuel said, then said Samuel. So looks like it was Samuel itself. God recorded that Samuel did that. So why can't it be Satan? Can Satan disguise? Yes. Can Satan trick people? Yes. Okay? That's true. Jennifer, Shalomia, why do you think it's not number 3? Based on what we just read. Verses 17, 18, 19. Okay, we just read 17 and 18, right? Can you turn to chapter 31? Chapter 31. Chapter 31. Now, can we read verse 7? And when the men of Israel that were on the other side of the valley, and they were on the other side of Jordan, saw the men of Israel fled, and Saul and his sons were dead. They forsook the cities and fled, and the Philistines came and dwelt in them. So what do you think, Shalomia? Like this is like Samuel. Why do you say this is not Satan but Samuel? Very good. You know, like Shalomia said, because whatever this person said happened exactly as it was prophesied. He was prophesying something tomorrow, right? And the prophecy was very accurate. Number 1. Right? So that's one possibility. So based on that, people say unlikely. Is Satan omniscient? Only God is omniscient, right? Satan cannot tell the future. But this was very precise. All right? This was very precise. And normally Satan, if Samuel comes, visit a witch, which God said don't visit a witch, normally Satan would probably be very happy, right? You disobey God. You come and look for a witch. I should praise you. But this person that spoke to Saul, did he praise Saul? No, he scolded Saul. Look at 1 Samuel chapter 28. 1 Samuel chapter 28. 1 Samuel chapter 28. Verse 17. Now, first of all, he said, God will do this to you. God has taken away the kingdom. Now, there is one prophecy. Now, the second thing, look at verse 18. Because thou obeyest not the voice of the Lord. The Lord has done this thing to you. He actually scolded Saul. You did not listen to God. Why do you come to a witch? Now, God will punish you. If you were Satan, you think God would say, I punish you? Satan would say, yes, come and visit me more often. Correct? So, based on that, people who don't take this view would also say, based on the conversation, Samuel said, it did not praise Saul, it scolded Saul, and also it prophesied so accurately what will happen, that kind of thing. So most people say, because of Satan doesn't know the future, Satan would like people to sin. So this is why they do not subscribe to this view. Understand? So Shalomia got it the same view because it happened exactly. Now, so the remaining view is Samuel. Based on the conversation, like some of you young ones read, you say, Samuel said, then Samuel said. There's a conversation going on. So people who take this view read the passage just as is. Right? So that's why Samuel scolded Saul. God gave him the prophecy, and Samuel came back to tell Saul, because of your disobedience, all these things are going to happen to you and your sons. And it happened exactly. So the people who take this view, this is their argument. Understand? Now, I tend to take this view. The question is this. Now, can someone come back after death and come back to earth? Can or not? Brenda, can or not? Can. What is your example? What's your scriptural proof? Ouch. Any example? Joshua? Right, Moses and Elijah. Let's turn to Matthew chapter 17. Matthew chapter 17. Matthew 17, verse 3. Matthew 17, verse 3. Now, can we read together? Here is Christ in the Mount of Transfiguration. Let's read together. And behold, there appeared unto them Moses and Elias talking with him. Him is Christ. Now, in the Bible, are there examples where God did allow dead people to come back? There are, right? So Maggie was nodding very vigorously. Yes, Samuel? You forgot, all right. When you remember. Now, so those people who are against this view basically say that, no, dead people cannot come back. Now, if God has in the scriptures, in example, have the dead come back, right? The prophet came back. The prophet Elias came back. Correct? The Bible says so. So is it possible? It's possible. It's possible. And now the question is, why did God allow Samuel to come back? What do you think? Eugene, why do you think God allowed Samuel to come back? Now, God says, kings don't go visit witches, right? Samuel went to visit witch, disguised himself. Then why did God, who told them not to visit witches, actually let Samuel come back when Saul disobeyed God, go and visit a witch, and yet God still allowed Samuel to come back? Yes?
I think it's because he wants Samuel to tell Saul that he's done wrong.
Very good. You hear that? Now, the only answer we have is, now, God told King Saul not to visit witches. King Saul went to do that. So God, I quote you, God allowed Samuel to come back to tell King Saul that he should not have done that. He is angry at him. And not only that, then God says, I will tell you for your disobedience what I am going to do to you. You will die in battle, and your sons will also die in battle. This day you will be with me, right? He say, you will be buried with like me. Our bodies will be buried. Samuel's body was buried. So you will also be buried. Your sons will also be buried. You will die. In other words, like me, I die and my body is buried. Okay, so this is the reason why I take this view. Now, some of you may disagree. If you have your very strong reason, let's say when we go to heaven, we ask Samuel, did you really come back? You can ask Samuel. I don't think I'll meet Saul there. That's my personal view. Okay, but this is my view. So anyone have anything to... So now, to the question. The question was... Where is it? When King Saul asked the woman to bring up the spirit of Samuel to him, and that happened. Isn't this a witchery act? How could this happen to Samuel, God's prophet? So yes, it is a witchery act. All right? But can God overrule? God say, I choose to make this happen. The witch can say, Samuel come back, Samuel come back, Samuel come back, and chant till her tongue drop off. If God doesn't want Samuel to come back, Samuel is not coming back. But if God says, you go and sin like that, I will let Samuel come back and scold you and tell you that you are going to die. Judge you. It was God's judgment. Understand? Okay, so Today lunch very heavy, is it? Everyone like, wow, you yawning some more when I talk to you. Okay, so anyone have any questions further? Does that answer your question? So why would God allow a witch to call a good prophet back? That's the question, right? If God chose to judge Saul, then God chose to use it to judge Saul. Okay? They say you disobeyed the voice of the Lord. So he told you should not have done this. Okay, so any other questions about this? Yeah.
Does that imply then that Saul, because Samuel said that you will be with me, or does that imply Saul?
Saul will go to heaven with him. So the question is this. So now lead to another question. Because Samuel say, this day you will be with me, right? So is Samuel saying, Samuel is in heaven, correct? Samuel, we know he's a good prophet, he's a safe believer. Is Samuel saying, you will be with me, you will come to heaven? So there's a big question about whether Saul is a saved person or not. Now, so depends on you what you think. Is Saul a saved king or Saul is not a saved king? Then you have your answer. What do you think? Do you think Saul is a saved king, Jennifer? You don't think Saul is saved? Wow, why? You don't like Saul. Why? Because? Well, one reason Jennifer said, because she said God departed from you. Yeah, possible way to think. What else? Why? Anyone think? Yes.
Because.
Please don't say you forgot.
Because he was angry at David.
Because?
He was angry at David.
Yeah, because he was angry at David. But I think what she's saying is, now I hold the same view as her. Okay? King Saul repeatedly tried to kill David, right? At first secretly, then after that openly. How openly? How openly? He took? He took the spear at dinner time and threw at David. He repeatedly tried to kill David. He even chased after David to the mountains to kill him, right? So in my mind, I think a true believer would not outwardly, repeatedly, unrepentantly, publicly want to kill someone with such hatred. Okay? So I think that's what you're saying, right? Yeah. So I think he does not exhibit the fruit of a saved person by his behavior. Now, can we say for sure he's not saved? I can't. In the Old Testament, very difficult to say who's saved, not saved. Some are very clear, but God just tells the story. All right? So we can guess, but you say, will I go to jail for it? Someone who argues and have very strong point, then I say, well, you have a view. We go up heaven and try, Saul, like you hear, then we will know. Now, that's one. I hope none of you will end up in hell and meet Saul there. Right? So make sure you believe in who? God. If Saul is in hell, do you want to be there to meet him? No. Yes, good. So ask the Lord Jesus to save you, all right, from young. So, Shama, now if Saul is not a saved person, then when Samuel said, this day you will be with me, what could it mean? Definitely doesn't mean that Samuel is not saved. We know Samuel is saved, correct? So what could it mean when Saul said, this day you will be with me? Okay, so you try answer Uncle Eugene's question. What could it mean?
Like he said, I thought he would go to heaven.
Say again?
He would go to heaven because he would die and then be with Samuel. Samuel was in heaven.
Yeah, Samuel is in heaven. So the question is, if Samuel is in heaven, and based on the idea that Saul showed that he acts like an unbeliever, and Saul is going to hell, then when Samuel said, this day you will be with me, what could Samuel mean? Can't guess. Okay, Noah.
well, Samuel is his physical body is dead. I think it also means the soul will also be dead.
Samuel's physical body is dead, and then?
And then Saul's body will be dead and will like join him.
Okay, yeah, that's what I said early on actually. So now, if okay, I'm not sure whether you're following in. Okay, I can clean this off, huh? Samuel, I'm drawing a lot today, so you better pay attention. Now, if Samuel is in heaven, all right, heaven, pretend heaven, clouds, huh? If Samuel is in heaven, he came back to earth. Now, if Saul is not a believer by his actions, assuming he's not, when he dies, he go to hell, correct? Hell. So Saul, the bad king, in hell. Okay, Saul in hell. Now, if Samuel said, "This day you will be with me," and if Saul is not a believer and he goes to hell, then what could that statement mean? Okay, so Noah answers, Samuel is dead, correct? Samuel is dead. So Samuel's body is buried somewhere in the ground, right? Buried in the ground. Now, but Samuel's spirit is where? Samuel? Where is Samuel's spirit? Samuel's body is in the ground. Samuel's spirit is in heaven. Okay, Samuel's spirit is in heaven, but body is in the ground. So the only thing that, like Noah say, the only possible meaning, if Saul is not a believer, then this day you will be with me means that this day your body will be like mine. Will be like mine with me in the ground. Okay, that is the only explanation. Okay, so that is the possible answer. Okay? Alright, so I hope they answered this question very clearly already. Alright? Ken, any more further follow-up question on this? No? Yes. Risa.
现在有些算命的，他也能够，就是预言到不久将来所发生的事情。虽然不能预言到很久以后的事情，但是他也能够，好像是预言到最近发生的事情。
Okay.
所以我就觉得这个是不是他模仿？
Okay, so I translate. There are some mediums, temple mediums. There are some temple mediums. Now, some temple mediums, some temple mediums. Now, some temple mediums, when you go and ask them what's going to happen, they seem to be able to tell you what is going to happen, and it does happen in your life. Okay? So, what's your question? So, based on that, it could be, based on that, then maybe the witch. Alright? The witch. Based on that, the witch, like these temple mediums, she can foretell the future. Could it be the same kind of situation? That's your question, right? So if it's the same kind of situation, maybe the witch was using her witch power to do that. Okay, to do that. So what do you think? Which adult want to try? Ignatius. What do you think? Could it be like today's temple medium? They could guess. No, they could predict. No. Why? Nobody knows the future except God. But how come it come true? Some of it. Don't know. You visited temple mediums before? No. Okay. So how do you answer that? Shane, I've not many chance to ask you because you're going back.
You say only some, right?
Only some.
So the one that is correct.
Okay. That's what I guess also. Now, human being can guess. Some guesses, if 50-50, you just need to guess, 50-50 chance of getting it right. Then it can happen. All right. Some they may guess even more accurate. Now, some people can guess. Okay, based on all this, some of them are very, 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 very clever. They're very clever. They can guess things, and they guess based on prediction. You know, magicians. A magician's real. They can really do magic. They can really read your mind, and all those things. No one can read your mind. Understand? Only God. Okay. So if you ask me this question, this is how I will answer. No one knows the future except God. Now, yes, maybe God may choose to reveal something to man to know the future. Then that's it. But a lot of times they're also not accurate. Most of the time they're not accurate. Okay? Now, can we say that definitely the witch was not predicting? I can't. Maybe she could predict quite well. Maybe she know politically all these things happening. I think tomorrow they're going to war. He got sons, right? I think the sons will die. Since you're so naughty, King Saul, I think your sons will die also. God will probably punish your son. Then she just said, it could be. It could be. Okay, Risa, so I agree, it might be. But based on the direct reading, there was a conversation between, the Bible says, Saul and him spoke. Okay, and I give you one more verse that to me speaks more that when you talk, does your phone start to record you? Last week when I was teaching Adelphi, I need to ask you, did any one of you text me when I was teaching? I will ask Adelphi, because suddenly what I said was there. So I don't know if someone asking me a question or not. Okay, this is definitely not Saul coming back, or Samuel coming back. Now, you turn to 1 Chronicles chapter 10, verse 13. 1 Chronicles chapter 10, verse 13. First Chronicles chapter 10. Okay, then we have to move to the next question. First Chronicles chapter 10, verse 13. Is this the one? Okay, let's read together. So Saul died for his transgression which he committed against the Lord, even against the word of the Lord which he kept not, and also for asking counsel of one that had a familiar spirit to inquire of it. And inquired not of the Lord, therefore he slew him and turned the kingdom unto David the son of Jesse. Now, God says the reason for Saul going there, the reason for Saul's death is because he committed that last sin that God continued to be patient with. God killed him because he went to visit a witch, correct? So, based on that, I believe that God said, I'm going to kill you for this, but I will let Samuel tell you why I'm going to kill you. They're based on that. Now, I say again, can we know for 100%? Not really. Not really. Okay? So this is the 4 views and my view. Okay, my view. All right, so now we ask the next question. Maggie, your question. Yeah.
There's a case of not using pagan priests who messianic prophecies in the book of Numbers, isn't it?
Balaam and Balak.
Oracles. I
Mm-hmm.
think after 3 or 4 oracles, except the one, everyone else was messianic. So God can use even pagan priests to teach
Yep. So the question is, like in the case of Balaam and Balak, right? Balaam is not a believer. We know that from the New Testament. Okay, Balaam is a false prophet and he's not saved. From the New Testament, we know that. Now, can God use the mouth of Balaam, a false prophet, to say his truth? There's evidence of it. So you're saying is God could have used the witch to do that. All right. So possible view, possible argument. Okay, possible view, possible argument. The only thing is because there was always this And Samuel said, then Samuel said, then I said, then Samuel said. Okay, so based on that, the people who hold the view, it was Samuel because God seemed to keep recording Samuel said, Samuel said, Samuel said, rather than the witch said, but rather Samuel said. Okay, so those are the reasons. Okay, is it 100% foolproof? Well, different reason, different people. Different people have different reasons.
话语词的。
Now, someone asked, what is the difference between psalms, hymns, and spiritual songs?
有人说诗章、颂词、灵歌有什么不同？
Someone also asked, can we just have instrumental music?
有人说我们只要乐器的音乐就行就好。
Can we
可以吗
worship God with instrumental music?
我们单单用乐器的音乐来敬拜神就好，可以吗？